Alright, we are now live. Hello everyone and welcome to today's very short live stream where I want to go over how I made these portals that work as you would expect. Portals from the famous game. So, let me go over what these do specifically. So we have one portal mesh right here, and I can rotate and do whatever I want. And then a secondary portal where this empty is, and then, the orientation, all that works as intended, as we can see. It's a little bit laggy because this is a dark scene. I'm using cycles in this case. The ray portal node only works in cycles, unfortunately. Maybe that'll change in the future. I don't know. It may be a while. But how does this work? Well, let's take a look at the shader first to see where the magic happens. So, let's go over all this. So the main thing is we have the portal glow layer, pretty self-explanatory. And then there's the actual portal I guess kind of refraction in a way. It is moving the rays and rotating them and all that cool stuff. But those two layers equal that. So let's go over the most important part, which is the actual, let's show what's on the other side of the portal. So with this, we take the position and normal from the object, the world space one, just like that, and then we apply the transform of the portal relative to the other portal, which that's the complicated bit that we'll get into a little bit later. But we apply all those onto there, and then it works. Which, I wish it was as easy as that, but we need to do some more complicated math on the geometry node side, because that's what spawns in the secondary portal and makes the link between them. But that's the shader side, so just remember that. It's just applying a transform here, and then a vector rotation there. And then down here, this adds just a little bit of warp to the portal, because without that, we can see that it's just, no warping. But yeah. Okay, now on the geometry node side. Now here, this was a little bit complicated to figure out, and it could be simpler, but there is a crash with the switch node when it comes to matrices, so I could not condense it. So this kind of split where you kind of have to duplicate stuff is necessary, unfortunately. I will make a bug report about that, but at the moment, this could be condensed, but this is the only way that doesn't crash. So, in here, in the object properties, we have an object input, in this case, this empty. So that's like the target location where the secondary portal will be. I didn't want to make it so that there were just two objects, and then you would make a link between them, because then you would have to apply the link to both objects going to both of them. Instead, it's easier to have one object with one portal, and it will be the same on both sides because it's the same mesh and all that good stuff. So, for convenience sake. So, over here, sorry, I'm just going to check the audio levels real quick. We should be all good to go. Okay, so how does this transformation happen? Well, the matrix nodes were added to 4.2 just in time. So, the main thing, let's go with portal 1. So here, we find the difference, the transform difference between the empty object, which is the top one here, and the self object right here. So with that, with the self object, we invert the matrix, then we multiply the two, that basically offsets them. Then we separate them, and then we store them for use in the actual shader. So that's how it works, but when you get to the other portal, it gets a little bit more complicated, but basically the same concept. Here, it's inverted. So we do the self transform offsetting the empty transform. I hope that makes sense. Here it's one way, and here it's reversed. But something needs to be done first. So in this case, we put the portal where the empty is. So again, portal 1, portal 2. And then we set the instance transform, again another new thing in 4.2. We set it to be the empty object set to relative. This one's set to relative. These two are set to original. Keep that in mind. Then I rotate it by 180 degrees so that it's facing back. If you don't do that, then it can mess up a little bit, which I will demonstrate right here. So if it's just 0, the mesh will be pointed the other way. The portal will still work, but the mesh will just look a little bit weird because it's not pointing towards you. Okay. With all of that, and there's probably a better way of doing this, that's just what I found works. And then lastly, I set a second portal mask so that we can make it orange. So in this case, that just sets the value to 1, so that I can use it as mask, so it's orange. Okay, and also another important thing, the main thing, if you don't have this, it will not work. You need to change the geometry to an instance so that you can set all of this data specifically on the instance domain. If you don't do that, it will not work at all. But yeah, there's all that. So again, all this is happening on the instance domain, and there we go. That's all the data that you need to make the relation between two portals work. And it works pretty well. And again, on the shader side, we just have that data going into here. Well, actually, it's this part. This part's just warping, not entirely necessary if you want to condense it. Actually, speaking of that, let me just show the most condensed version of this possible. So right here, this is how you get a portal to work, right here. So if we do that, we can say, wow, it's working exactly as intended. A nice, elegant setup. It could be more elegant, but unfortunately, we don't have the matrix inputs in the shader editor. Unfortunate, but it's what we have to do. But it's rather clean. It's not too bad. Oh, another thing. With the normal, I offset it by a little bit just to prevent Z-fighting. So in this case, I do have the portals being a little more 3D, just to give it a little bit of depth with the warping effects and the emission. But even if this were just a flat plane, just to avoid Z-fighting, you offset it by the normal by just a little bit. Because bad things happen if you don't do that. But yeah, that is the effect in all of its glory. So, I guess I could go over the portal, like the actual emission effect right here. So here, the UV map, let's take a look at that real quick. It's just that. Oh, also I have the portal textures in here as a nice little atlas. Let me go over to the render results so that we can see this. I wanted to get one. Well, this is just a circle. It's not stretched, but the image is making it look stretched. So let's go back over to the shader editor to go through even more of this. So we have that, and then I animate it by just pushing it in a certain direction, making this look very, very purple. And then I offset it random per object. Wow, that is very, very bright. I apologize for that. And then to make it seamless, I ping pong the x-axis. And then after that, it's just the noise. So here we can see that the noise is doing that. If I were to not use the seamless part, we would see that there is a seam right there. So there we go. Once again, it's just moving as it should. And then we use that to warp the distance from the center. Again, the UV map is centered right here. So that does that. And then, again, linear light just warps it, does what it should. And then we set that gradient, and then I use my little special linear light fall off, just the logarithm style and all that good stuff. Here's the internals if you want to take a look at it. We have all that, which just makes the emission very crisp. It always works very well. And then we just have that emission, and then we add it to that. So that's that. And also, I switch between the ray portal and a transparent node, just so that the outside is actually just regularly transparent and not being portaled. You could make it more efficient by just switching the vectors, but I wanted this to be a cleaner node setup while sacrificing just a hint of performance to have another transparent node. But yes, that is that. And it's working pretty well. Again, performance on the stream is not that great because, again, this is in cycles, not Eevee. If I do this, we can see, you know, it's pretty good. Pretty good. And then up here, just the shader is a bit different. I'm still experimenting with these different textures and such. I guess, yeah, I could experiment a bit more with them here. So in this case, I just swapped out the noise texture with the Voronoi, and that's how I did that. Again, this is the most elegant version that I have so far, and it should be pretty good. Yeah, we can do a bit more. If you have any questions, please ask them now. Oh, wow. 10 minutes. Not bad. Not bad, just for going over the effect. I do like this because you can just turn up the noise, and then it looks really, really cool. And also, since it's all one plane, one shader, one mesh, all that good stuff, you know, the portal surface does not need to be solid, like with a material assignment. That was in a previous version, but with this version, you could just make it as weird and wacky as you want, which is what you want. This one, I was taking inspiration from the Ratchet and Clank game, which they have portals as well. And theirs are a lot more fancy because they do some weird loading stuff where it can load up a completely different scene and then portal into that. But anyway, that's getting a bit ahead of ourselves. And also, I guess I should go over all the other features, like, again, you could just scale these a ton. It works out pretty well. There you go. Cool stuff, like, look at that. It's amazing it works that well. Oh, and there's even some recursion happening, causing some weird stuff to happen. That's cool. To raise or lower this one, should see that's almost correct. Yeah, you go. Like, I did not think that we would get this, this technology inside of, Cycles or Blender anytime soon. Now, in theory, this should be possible to do in Eevee, especially the newer version of Eevee, because their, like, render targets exist in other game engines, like, or game renderers, I guess you could say. Like, Ratchet and Clank has one, Portal obviously has one that was out how many years ago? Many years ago. But yeah, it's kind of the render target type of effect. Yeah. Let's see, what else can I go over? I think that's pretty much everything. But yeah, here you can also scale the portals, and they will work as intended, making the world over here look small, and the world over here look big, which is really cool. I want to try, if I have time, a lot of camera going through portal effects, because it could look really, really cool. And that's something I should mention. If you want an object to go through the portal, this is something that I haven't really automated just yet. I've done some tests, but I still need to figure it out in its entirety. Here, if you want an object to go through the portal, the problem is that you need two objects, two real objects. So here you would need to make it match. Ideally, you would just do that with geometry nodes, have an object, well, put that object into like a collection, and then geometry nodes would be like, okay, get that object, apply the transform so that it's there. I've tried it, but I haven't gotten the best of a seamless version yet. There's always been a little stuff going on. But I will figure it out. It shouldn't be too difficult. I just don't... It's getting a little bit late, and I was like, okay, let's get this done before we... the mesh part. Okay. Another thing that I should probably show off is the dimensional cube, which I believe I posted today. This one, it is still working good. I did this all in the same blend file, which in hindsight was not the best idea. It looks like one part is missing. Ah, that's why. One of the shaders I turned into an actual portal shader. That is funny. Oh, I can fix that really quick. So I'm just going to rotate. Well, I don't even think a rotate is needed in this case. Wait, no, actually it is. There we go. Let's just there. Good. That puts that over there, so it's technically the same one over there, but anyway. So the way this one works is by using the local geometry space and then moving that a bit. So, how do I explain this in the best way possible? So this cube right here imagines that it's still right here, as we can see from this. It gets the local position, and no matter where I move it, it still thinks it's at 0, 0, 0, essentially. And then the incoming, this is still in global space, but then it gets converted into local space, or object space, using a vector transform node. It does the position, rotation, and scale thing all inside one node. It's, unfortunately, all the parts aren't exposed, so I couldn't use this in the other setup, but it's not that much of a convenience. And then you scale by -1. This scale by -1 probably should have been before the incoming, but it doesn't really make a difference in this case. So that's how that works. Let me just move this over here a little bit to make it a little bit cleaner. But that's how it works. all of these still imagine that they're at 0, 0, 0, or a small offset from there. Because in this case, I just move it over by 9 meters. I'm just going to go and hide the other inputs using Control H, just to make it look a little bit cleaner. So here, once again, this room is projecting to that room, this one is projecting to green, this one's also projecting to green because it's the same material. Let's go and swap that out really quickly. There we go. If we move the add, we can just see that it moves over the space that it's looking at. So again, this plane still thinks it's here, and then I just slide it over to there. Yeah, that's how that works. I hope that was okay, because it was a little bit fast. And also, this first one is a cube, and this was just because I was testing with a cube starting out. But as we can see here, it still works, which is very, very funny. So, right here, whoops, let me just go in. Control. Just 2. This cube is looking over to here. It's clipping through the roof, so I can go and make it so that that is not an issue. There we go. This side's looking there, and then that one's looking there. I can scale it up and then see the portaled world. I go in Control Z, and then we're back. So, there we go. Any questions? Because I think I went over everything. Let's go over to portal again. There's so many things I want to test out with this node. I'm trying to figure out parallax mapping using it. Got somewhere, but unfortunately it can't self-shadow, so it's not used yet. But I'm getting there. I am getting there. Okay, I need to create something like that in Unreal Engine 5. Well, good news, that's definitely possible using render targets. I would imagine someone's done a tutorial for that in the past. Will you share the blend file? Potentially. I'm not sure if it'll be free or paid on Gumroad. We'll see. Maybe. I'm not sure yet. Again, this is very experimental. This node is under a week old in Blender 4.2. So there's still a lot that I want to learn before I feel comfortable sharing the file. That's why these breakdowns are here, just in case. And again, with the geometry node side, this part, it's good, it's self-explanatory, but it could be even more efficient by using a switch node to make this all in one go rather than alternative. But unfortunately, there's a little crash that happens with the matrix nodes in the matrix sockets in the switch node. So unfortunately, that cannot be done just yet. Today I spent 3 hours figuring out your Flash Lightning project. It's amazing. Ah, nice. With that, you can probably use the particle system that I made for the sparks. Oh, no, wait, the lightning, yeah, I forgot. That has the points that are attached to an armature, or to a moving deforming mesh, which is always very annoying to do in Blender. I wish we had a node to do that, but unfortunately, it wasn't really a thought that people would want to distribute points on moving faces with a determined point count. So we had to do it ourselves, which is annoying, but once you make it once, you don't have to make it again. You can make it an asset, put it in your asset library. And the only downside is people who view your videos don't have access to those node groups, so they're basically stuck nowhere. Then they need to go and spend 3 hours making it. Eventually, we'll probably have node groups to do all that, like assets that Blender has made, but it'll be a while before node groups are good enough. But we're getting there. The matrix nodes are a good step in that direction. Finally getting lower to what Blender actually uses versus just, you know, weird layers of filters between the actual code, for lack of a better term. But yeah, that's the effect. I think I may end the stream right about now, just because that's basically everything. I don't think there's anything else to go over. I guess I could just play around with these a little bit. Let's go and make a cube. So in this case, it will be a... Oh, interesting. I thought this would work flawlessly. Interesting. Huh. Why is it not? Oh no, that's why, because the UV maps. I forgot. Let's go and put this right in here. So now this should show that's portaling a 3D space into there, but it's freaking out a little bit because the planes are clipping through each other, so let's just go and do that. So now this is portaling a 3D space rather than a 2D space. Kind of like, I forgot what that game was, where it had this kind of projection technology. Then in theory, I should be able to also scale the space like that, causing it to look very, very, very weird. Ah, okay, non-uniform scaling seems to make it freak out a bit more. Which is actually interesting. Maybe that's a result of the, Oh, no, wait, maybe I need to actually apply a matrix transform to the incoming direction. Well, anyway, if you just make it scale normally on all axes, you should be perfectly fine. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. That's so weird. So where was the human mesh? Let's go back over to... Oh, okay. That's funny. Since that's in the portal world, we're seeing that freak out. Let's go and move that up, and let's go and move this portal up. That is so weird. Also, here's a little turret model that I made a while back. Let's go and Control Z. Hopefully I have enough undo steps to add in... No, I have like one undo step before I could get the portals back into place. Oh, that's a shame. Okay, let me go and open up the file once again, remove all the changes that I made, just to get back to baseline, so that we can end the stream in style. Okay, let me get the chat back up. Okay, that's the effect. Again, very noisy because, again, this is Cycles trying to denoise one sample, which is not fun. Okay. Alright, I believe that's it. Thank you all for watching. More Portal projects will be coming in the future because, well, this is a lot of fun. Lots of cool stuff. I really like the lighting here as well. I've been playing around with different, color spaces. I found that Filmic looks the best with this kind of blue and orange. I'm interested in Chronos because it seems to have the, like, desaturation with high values without making them look super desaturated like AGX. But for the moment, I'm still using Filmic just because it feels I'm more familiar with it. But yeah, that is the portal effect and how it was done. I hope it was understandable even with the new matrix nodes. I know that not many people know about that and know how they work, but they're just a location, rotation, and scale, and then there's nodes where you can invert that, offset it with the multiply matrix node, and a lot of other cool stuff. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good one.